Hi, I'm Mark. Really good session yesterday. Hope you found it helpful. I'm just going to run through a couple of points that we discussed in the session there. I think you said before, having played on the golf course with your son, you knew the club face was going back a little bit hooded. As we said, that was correct, but what you needed to try and work out was what the cure was to stop doing that. To say don't do this isn't going to really help that. So if you actually look at the club just to confirm as it goes back, just look at your almost left wrist there, almost just bowing down the club face, almost just turning, if anything, going back. The back end of the club, the heel of the club, is actually going away, because obviously a very small little movement there. You're closing the club as you go back. Now when you did that, because that left wrist went back with the back of your left hand now pointing down to the ground quite a bit, club face was quite hooded, you weren't able to get much of a wrist hinge or much of a backswing at all. So your backswing length was very short here. See both arms now quite straight there, sort of pushing away where that right arm should be bending and softening. So that restricts both your length of backswing, which reduces the power, and the fact the club face is slightly closed now is also going to mean you're going to lose distance and lose some speed. So the closed club face and a shorter backswing, we're going to get a very low flight. So even your good shots at the start of the session, when you had a couple of 5-irons that you were pleased with, they were quite low and not really going as far as you would normally expect. And then when you took even more loft off your golf club, drivers and woods were even harder. So what we're trying to do now is try and get the sensation of hinging the wrist a bit more. If you actually look at these swings here now as you go back, if you watch this movement now in the backswing in the practice, we can see the club face now in a much, the club face now in a much better position, actually sort of facing a bit more towards the camera, as a result of that right arm sort of softening. You see your right arm now bending nicely. We're able to hinge the wrist as you get the club to the top of the backswing here now. Look how much further that club's gone. Now you haven't really turned your body much more. There has been a bit more rotation, partly because you're, I think, looser and softer at setup. But the club going back all the way up here now is going to give you that much more power from where your club was to there, without you hitting the ball harder or trying to do any more. Now, yes, this was a practice swing, but it just shows what the potential is as you do that. As I said, we're just trying to make a nice big circle, and that's going to give you the speed at the bottom there as you twist through. Now, when you get to play the shot for real, if we watch the club going back now, clear all these lines, you can see it's going to go back a little bit kind of your old way with the club face, a little bit of a hook in there as you can see. However, there is a much better softening and hinging of your wrist. You can see your right arm now is kind of more level and starting to bend a bit better. So therefore now, as the club does go back, we actually get that club, keeps going a bit more there, slightly beyond vertical. In an ideal world, we get it above your head. Getting it there isn't too bad compared to where it was somewhere over here at the start of the lesson. So having a better wrist hinge is going to give us more power. Having a square club face is going to give us more height, more power, further, straighter shots. I'm sure we're all going to be much more happy with those results rather than the low flighted ones you said you were getting before. So as that club starts coming back down now, a nice sort of dropping of the arms into hit position, you've still got a nice angle now in your wrist, so you've maintained that. As you come back to the golf ball there, lovely impact position and a nice full release of the body through to target. So if we can work on, I think, being a bit softer at setup, take the tension out of your arms and your grip, and then the feeling, and the only real swing thought now, as we said, you're going to go away from today's lesson or yesterday's lesson and work on them, Mark, it's just about the hinging of the wrist. If we can get that right wrist and the right arm to sort of soften and hinge, we can get this club to go back a lot further. And I think at the moment now, you've improved that by a good percentage with a bit of practice and a bit of confidence of, as you said, somewhere up here with a club face is kind of new territory. You're not really sure where it is. But over time, once you start hitting the ball as well as you were, you'll get more and more confident to go back further and further and further. It'll be a gradual progression to that club going back into a longer position, getting more speed, more power and more height with the shot. So hope that all makes sense. Any questions, obviously feel free to give me a shout, and I'll catch up again soon. Cheers.